Skills, organization, and new sense of knowledge. There will be a collaborative activity in this breakout session. Be prepared to move. So let's welcome.
Thank you. Thank you so much. Thank you so much. Again, my name is Jocelyn Smith. I'm a senior here at UVU. I'm in the dance department. I love dancing. It's so great. So for my senior project, as the intro said, I wanted to do a collaborative work. I've never really touched the realm of photography or theater or creative writing, and I was just really curious. I wanted to know more about those art disciplines and how they related to dance. Oh man, and oh boy did we have a great project. We're really excited to share about it with you. One of the best things about this project is that collaboration builds leadership skills. Collaboration builds communication skills. Collaboration helps you see the world in a new way. So we're going to start off today with a little collaborative activity. If we can get groups of 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, great. 1, 2, 3, ladies. 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, and Erin, do you mind joining the group? Perfect. Great. So everybody in the conference got a little notebook, correct? Will you pull that notebook out? And you have a pen. This, we're going to show in a brief 3 to 4 minutes, the power of collaboration through pen and paper. We're going to bust out our Picasso and our Leonardo da Vinci, and we're going to draw and create some stuff with our group, okay? So you may want to maybe scoot one chair down, be a little tight with your group. And the first thing you're going to do on a blank piece of paper in your notebook, everybody, on the blank piece of paper, you're going to have 10 seconds to draw a shape. Any size, anywhere on the paper, whatever shape you would like. It can be shaded in, it can be polka dotted around, it can be whatever you'd like. Just draw a shape. 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Everybody has their shape? All right, fabulous. You're going to pass your notebook to the left. So, and you'll get your notebook back, I promise, okay? Oh, but to the left of your little group, I'm sorry. So you'll pass it all the way over to Miss Madeline, and then you pass it around there. So this is
outside the group.
No. So within your group. Yes. So if you don't mind participating, yep, that'd be great. Fabulous. Okay, so everybody has a picture of a shape in their hand right now, right? Okay, so you have 20 seconds to draw a body part of your favorite animal. So everybody close your eyes, think of your favorite animal. What's the coolest part about your animal? And draw it on that shape or on a different part of the paper, wherever you'd like. Ready? Begin.
I'm sorry, what are we doing?
Draw a body part of your favorite animal. On, yep, it's on the same paper, yes. So we are adding to the shape or the overall picture with this body part. 10 more seconds. It can be ears, it can be tail, wings, horns. You're the unicorns. Okay, how are we doing? Okay, go ahead and put eyes on me when you are done with your body part. Okay, looks like the majority. Fabulous. We're going to pass that one more time. Hurry, get the last little details. Fabulous. Okay, last person in your group, whoop, go ahead and pass it to the left. Great. So now you have a accumulation of a shape and a body part on this new picture you have. Go ahead with 20 seconds, add a line. It can be curly, it can be zigzag, it can be whatever, it can be thick line, it can be a thin line, a dashed line, whatever you like. 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, and 1. Okay, go ahead and close your notebook. Close it so they don't see it, it's a surprise. And pass it back to the original person. It should be yours. Very cool. Okay, now before you open it, before you look at the amazing masterpiece you guys have, all that you all created in this collaborative work, what do you think the picture will look like? Any ideas? Maybe a smorgasbord, please? Yeah? Okay, it's hard to tell, right? And that's what's beautiful about collaboration. You don't always know the end in mind. Oh man, you've heard that before, haven't you, with Stephen Covey's The 7 Habits, keeping the end in mind. Oh, so it's scary territory. We don't know the end in mind when you have the collaborative work. Go ahead and open up. Huh, interesting. I see some giggles and smiles. That's good, that's good. Very, very cool. Okay, I just have a few questions. Let's open it up. Did you expect your picture to turn out the way it did? Ooh, by raise of hands, you thought, oh, yep, that's it. I knew it. No, right? It's different. Very cool. Does anybody want to share their artistic, expressive piece of paper? Yeah, okay, great. What's your name?
I'm Greg.
Greg, fabulous.
Yeah, mine is an unholy combination of giraffe and fox with a face and a lion.
Oh, fabulous. Do you mind if I pass it over? Look at the artistic expression here. Oh my
The giraffe
goodness.
is the best part.
And he didn't plan on a giraffe or a box or a fancy line, did he? No, it's new. But it's exciting. It's different. Oh my. Different. Different is good. And you know what is so cool? You can share and compare all of these different little art compositions. You all had the exact same instructions. But look at all the different answers you came up with. That comes up in leadership and mentoring too. There are so many questions and there isn't just one answer. There are so many different answers that are the correct answer. Oh, that's what I'm loving about collaboration. And I encourage every single one of you to participate in a collaborative work somewhere, somehow, within your discipline, within your family, within your school. Somehow get involved and pick the brains of other people. Like I picked their brains. And together we created something that was far beyond anything that I could just come up with. But it's the brains of Natasha and Shelley and Erin and Jocelyn that we were able to create the Round Robin Project. Okay. Fabulous. So, yeah, do you mind passing me that? Great. So the Round Robin Project, this little exercise is similar to what we did. We got together as a group and we wanted to create a show for the Great Salt Lake Fringe Festival happened up in Slick. And we're like, okay, we're going to do a round robin feel right here. We decided on a topic, and from that topic we went out into our different disciplines and created whatever the different answers for that issue and brought it back to the table. So we decided to do it on gender roles. That's it's a hot topic these days, that's for sure. But what was so interesting is to see everybody's unique expression in the way they view gender roles. Now, the presentation isn't about gender roles and what men should do, what women should do, and what they shouldn't do, and who should do this. It wasn't about that. It was more about presenting the different roles that people have played throughout history. Okay, so I'm going to give the time to each of them and explain. They're going to introduce themselves and kind of explain their role within the project. And just like how we did this one, we each took our project and we shifted it. Sorry, I forgot to explain that. We shifted each of our works to the other person and infused our discipline into their work. So it brought up a lot of different things that I didn't expect, but that were still beautiful. So we're going to start with Natasha.
Hello, I'm Natasha. I'm a photography and modern dance major here. And I did the photography portion for this project. And basically when for inspiration for each of these works, we would meet and discuss our projects or the works that we had been working on. And I took from that all the different perspectives that we had discussed and infused them, like Jocelyn said, into each of the works. And with each time we met, I just took a concept that really stood out to me, a new perspective, and just went with that with each work. And what's so great about this is the collaborative process really helped open up new perspectives and pushed me out of the box as an artist, out of my comfort zone. And I was able to grow as an artist and as an individual. So each here are the timelines that we did. And I did 3 photographs, 3 or 4, I can't remember, photographs for each year that we decided to do. So here's the 2015 gender roles, and then the 1915, I depicted just a woman's role, and also 1815 with hands and a woman's work. So, yeah.
Hi, I'm Shelley. I did the theater portion for this project. I'm a theater major here, just getting my associates to start. What I really loved about this project was being able to work with such wonderful artists in all different genres, and to be able to get like a taste of everything and to learn from that and to apply that to theater in some way. It was amazing to see how all these different genres, how different they were, but also how very similar they were. And it's kind of just like how we are as people. We're all very different, but there's a core that is within all of us that is very similar, and we can all collaborate together in our communities and in our art. So I just was able to write a couple of pieces and perform them with the help of one of my colleagues. But being able to gain inspiration from these wonderful people, it kind of helped the creative juices start flowing. Whenever I got hung up in any certain area, then I just remembered their work and was able to gain inspiration from that. So collaborative process is very fulfilling.
Awesome. My name's Aaron, and I'm technically an English writing studies major here at UVU, but I really like creative writing and take classes on it. And this project was eye-opening for me a lot, just because a lot of what I've always done has involved writing, whether it's creative or academic or just any other type of writing. And so there's always seems to be certain ways that you approach writing to be able to compose it, to come up with it, to start it. And it was really interesting because those were things that always focused in my mind, was like, oh, this is how you get inspiration for writing, or this is what you look at. And then being able to work with these awesome, amazing people in their different disciplines and seeing the way that they approach creative works was just, it was eye-opening to me to see the different ways that they do that and the different ways that their disciplines and genres encourage that, and then me being able to kind of see that as a way to expand my own writing process and use it. Like, especially, I know one of the things we would talk about a lot is like Natasha's photography. We would talk about how much her discipline involves capturing an idea in that one moment and then kind of extrapolating things from it afterwards. And just like that idea with writing, that even though maybe it flows, like how can I work to capture one main idea in it all, or how Jocelyn with dance, she would constantly use things like repetition and different things throughout her composing process, which is a big thing in writing too, but that I'd never really thought or looked at in dance, and just the way that she approached that. And Shelley is amazing in her field, and she would talk about how she would go through like a revision process of her composition, and she would come up with one part, and then she would go through and worry about, the speech or the hand movements or the different things in theater. And that was just really awesome to me in writing, and to see how I could apply that to my revision process or my creative process. And just to see the things that came out of it with ideas, like when we did 2015, we focused on very specific things, and we each came up individually with what our piece was going to be, and then we switched them. And so when we went into 1815 or 1915, I got Shelley's piece, and it inspired me to write the poem Smooth as Bone, that I never would have written something probably in that topic or that way had I not kind of had her piece to inspire it. And so that was just a really cool thing for me, to be forced to look at different topics that I wouldn't usually write about, and let them be composed just by a completely different genre. Like, hey, look at this, how will I turn this into writing? How will I capture what's being talked about in theater into writing? And so that was just a really cool experience.
Thanks.
Perfect. So all of this, again, our presentation today isn't so much about the product of what actually happened, even though my line's really, really good. But it's about the process. And I think in whatever situation you have in life, process is involved. You go to school, you work hard, and then at the end you finally get the grade. It's not always about the grade. You put all the time from the beginning of the semester all the way to the end, and the grade is just a mere little reflection, right? So the process is where you really live. You don't live in the grade A, B, C, or D, but you live within the process. So that's what we're really focusing on today. I'm going to give a little brief history of what happened during the process, especially as the director, the designer. It was collaborative talking. It was like a group. It's interesting because okay, first off, before I go on, how many of you are in a leadership role? Oh yeah, great. Perfect. Okay, what are the different roles that you have right now in your leadership? What are your responsibilities in your leadership role? Yes?
I'd say first off, a student.
First, a student. Perfect. Students are leaders, that's true. Anybody else? What are the different responsibilities you have as a leader? Yeah?
I record what's going on campus.
Okay. Fabulous. So is that more of like into marketing, or is it more, when you say record?
I create flyers and like scrapbooks.
Okay.
Yeah.
Great, kind of keeping the history of it.
I'll be sick.
Awesome. Perfect. That is super crucial. And I'll tie that into this project. Don't you want it? Yeah.
I have to help students with voting registration.
Okay. Helping them, like communicating to them what they need to do, right?
Yeah.
This is the procedure they need to have it done.
Yeah.
Wow, all of these are highlighting moments within our project that, wow, you learn so much about when you're in a project like this. So even though maybe not everybody gets the opportunity to be in a leadership role like you, maybe not. But if you as a leader incorporate them and include them in the big ideas, in the planning session, make it a collaborative work, not so much of a you do this because I told you to. You can create something so wonderful with them. Okay, one of the things, recording, that I learned most about this project is you need, whenever you do a collaborative work, or when you're in your leadership roles, is to understand and record what happens. Like I can go back and I have different dates of when we met as a group and Erin said this and Shelly said that, Natasha said this, and what they said inspired me. Because if you have just kind of lived day to day and whatnot and don't have a chance to reflect and look back, it's kind of hard to be inspired for the future. So that's something I would, as a takeaway from this presentation, if you're taking notes, recording what is important. That will help you for the future. Another thing that I found is the procedure, the communication. Ooh, along with procedure comes time. Time. Understanding and communicating the different time it needs, in our instance, to create. When you create a dance, oh man, it can take, it literally could be a lifetime. It could be a lifetime work of really finding how that feels. Okay, that's a little eccentric, but it's true. So for me, that was one of my struggles in the dance area of this, is selecting time. Time when my dancers could rehearse with me. Time to actually generate movement, or time to schedule a studio. All of these different aspects, for me, time was a big stress factor. So if I were to do this project again, I would give myself more time. Plan it out in advance. Have a timeline. Super important as a leader. Have a timeline, especially if you have an event that's coming up. But it varies. For Erin, he said it didn't take maybe as long of time. Sure, he could have spent more, but it was sufficient. But he wasn't scrambling like I was scrambling, like, oh my gosh, we need another rehearsal. We're not going to get done. You know what I mean? So knowing the different positions that your leadees are under you is really important to understand how long does it take to record. Like how long, an hour, 2 hours, 15 minutes maybe? And then it comes the quality issue, right? Okay, well, I can just do this, it's fine. But no, if you want to do a good job, it takes time. So think of time when you're out doing a project with whatever comes your way. Another thing I found that was tricky is having the hard discussions of when you don't agree. Oh boy. How many of you in here have been in a room or in a discussion where you do not feel the same way about somebody else's opinion? It gets tricky, right? I mean, you don't want to step on toes, you want to be nice, but you don't agree. We found that. We found that with the 4 of us. The 4 of us have completely different views or beliefs, or maybe we had different ways of viewing the world. And that was kind of, I don't know, it was kind of, I didn't know, maybe, And it made me think, like, I didn't know such and such and such about whatever the topic was. Or I didn't know that's the way you felt or viewed. But I can respect that. And I can respect that, and there's room enough in this world to respect everybody's opinions, to respect everybody's beliefs. But the hard conversation, it didn't end up being hard. But I went home and I was just like, oh man, I sure hope we're okay. Like, we're all still friends, and we are still friends. We made and I think that's what's great. When the subject did come up, when we had to kind of cross, you come to a cross section of, well, what do we do? Like, this person thinks this way, but it's still valuable. It's not just my voice here. It's not just because it's my project doesn't mean it's my voice only. And I think as a leader, that is so important to understand that it's not about you. It's me. No, I'm just kidding. No, but really, truly, honestly, it's not about you. You are included. It's about we. We matter. We matter. Every single aspect of this project mattered, or it wouldn't have turned out the way it did. Interesting, I did a formal research project with this, and I presented this at the National Dance Education Organization Conference down in Arizona. Sounds all like kind of nerdy, right? Oh, I love it though, it's so great, I get on my nerdy side. So I'm going to share my nerdy side with you and show you the actual data or the notes that were taken of how the 4 disciplines, how they cross, how they intersect, and the differences that there were and the similarities that there are. So great. It's super fascinating. But first, as I'm getting this out, are there any questions so far? Or anything that is kind of like a highlight, like, oh, I didn't think about that. Or, oh, I had a time when I had this experience, that you'd like to share? Yes?
Could you talk a little bit about the logistics? Like, did you start with one person in media and like or did you all generate ideas at the same time? And what exactly did you present at the Fringe Festival?
That is a really good question. Okay. So the project, or the little activity we did just barely, that was the idea, that was the goal. Of everybody create something and then rotate it, and I would infuse dance into the photography. So I looked at these 2 standing, and how would that show up in the movement, right? So that was the goal, and then that would be infused with theater. So how would the spoken word influence the photo and the dance? And then that little compilation would be infused with writing. So that was the goal, right? And then the factor of time set in. A little butter. So what actually what we were able to present. Thank you so much. Yeah, I'm great. Okay, so what actually happened, in order to help everybody's opinions and views be valued, and it wasn't just Jocelyn's show, we decided to take the gender roles, the topic that we decided, into 3 different years. How were gender roles viewed in 1815? What were the roles of men and women in that time? And then we decided what were the roles of men and women in 1915. Kind of looked at it like that. So we did a lot of reading. We did a lot of research. We did a lot of accounts. We did different research on it. And then we looked at 2015. And the 2015 was more of personal experiences or experiences of our friends or families that are living in 2015. So what happened in the end, because this was the goal, right, you have your work 1, infused with work 2, to work 3, to work 4, and then have 4 big big projects to show. We ended up just doing 1. So with how we did the round robin was we took the different years. So Aaron, he did a poem with the view from 1815 gender roles, 1915 gender roles, and 2015. So we did a poem, a short story, and another poem. Great. And then Natasha did the same thing, only she looked at Aaron's 1815 and was inspired by that. Pawtucket. That story was about a factory and hands, and you know what, I'm going to do a photo shoot about hands, and she took that little aspect and rolled with it. Is that making sense? So we framed it within the different views, but we were still infusing and being inspired by other disciplines. Does that make sense? Kind of, sort of? I sure hope so, because it was really fun. Hope you guys can do something similar too. Okay, so kind of the nuts and bolts about the actual research that happened. Is the similarities. Wow, so cool. So every single one of us in an interview after, and I gave them some questions to kind of like think back and reflect, and in everybody's reflection, they talked about brainstorm, I think of an idea, transitioning, revision, exercises, outlining, abstraction, questioning, intent, creator's block, oh man, and intuition. So the creator's block was my favorite one to talk about. We would, the next meeting when we would get together and kind of, check in, see how everybody's doing and how their work's coming along, we all experience creator's block. Has anybody else have you felt this sensation?
Writer's block is a
Writer's block? It's a killer, right?
Yeah.
Oh man, you're just like, what am I gonna do? I remember like just curling up and watching Netflix, like, oh, what am I gonna do with this? Like, and you all cope with creator's block in different ways too, and it's interesting. So if there's anything to take away, another little nugget to take away from this is that you will experience creator's block. Now, you may not be a dancer, or you may not be a photographer or a writer, but at some point within your leadership role, you'll come to a block of some sorts. And then how do you cope with that? How do you come over that? What are the ways to negotiate? How you just keep going, just move on, Be aware, be prepared too. How are you going to deal with the struggle of, because I can't see what's going to happen, I'm just going to keep putting one foot in front of the other. Okay, some of the differences with the dance, the materials that were different, I used the body, and I need studio space for my artwork, for the whole creative process. I need dancers. That's a little different than the other ones. So mine, I had to deal with a lot of communication and coordinating schedules. That was different. Creative writing. Do you want to talk about the little differences between creative writing?
Yeah. Okay. And so for creative writing, like she said, so materials, I don't need a lot of materials or a lot of big time. I need a pen and paper, and I can just kind of go with that. And use that for my creative process. So it wasn't a lot of worrying about other people and programming that in, but if you want something to be original and sound good, I guess, how do I want to say this? Good creative writing comes from understanding rules and tools used in it, and whether you actually use them correctly or not doesn't matter. What matters is that you understand them and then you can break them effectively as you need to. So with creative writing, a lot of methods that we use is imagery, timing, assonance, consonance, alliteration, rhyme, metaphor, ambiguity, paradox, simile, all these different kind of tools in that, and then like seeing how they fit together and seeing how they work with them. So a lot of my creative process that is different is it was a lot of me having to just like sit down alone and create these things and figure it out, but then also look, like, am I actually using things? Am I just writing something to write it? What actual artistic value does it have, and how can I work that in?
Thanks. Shelley, do you want to help you?
For my portion, the theater portion of this project, I didn't need to get a whole group of people together and perform a dance. So that was really great because collecting people can be difficult sometimes. But I did have one piece where it was a scene with another person. So I did have to find somebody who I could trust to show up on time and learn the lines and connect with the character. And I was able to find someone pretty great for that. And for theater, I mean, script, blocking, stage, character analysis, body and voice. So it's just about putting all those together and coming up with some sort of a topic, so to speak, and letting it flow. Funny thing for me is like the very first one we did, the 2015 one where we started out, I didn't really know what to do, like how to open that gate, so to speak. And I had this huge block up until, I don't know, I got in the shower where I do all my best thinking, and it just kind of like, I just kind of did a monologue in the shower. That's kind of weird, but that worked for me. And then I got out, quickly wrote it all down and practiced it. So it's just different processes that go through this whole project. But yeah, for me the differences was just had a lot of alone time in the shower and in my bedroom just writing and rehearsing. And that was basically that for me.
Great, thanks. So for the photography portion, I did need to find some models to make this a little easier on myself, or else it would just be a lot of kind of silly stuff. So I did find some models that I could work with, mostly my family, because I can tell them, you know, I actually need you here, so just do it for me. A lot of them were questions that are a lot of things that I had to think about were how will I process each of the photos? Will the photos be taken digitally or by film? I chose digital this time, even though I prefer film, but because of time restraints, it just seemed like the quickest way to go. And how was I going to process these? Would they really be photoshopped? And also I had to think about staying true to each of the years. I mean, I took 1900s and 1800s in black and white because that's how the photos were. So I try to stay true to things like that. I also had to think of the concepts that I was going to do and how the images were going to reflect that, how I was going to clearly depict these ideas and make sure that the ideas were going to come through in the work. So, thanks.
Okay, fabulous. So, to kind of wrap up our presentation, I thought it would be quite appropriate to actually perform some of the work that was actually performed for the festival in August. So we're going to start off with, we're going to go backwards in time. We're going to start with 2015 and then roll back to 1915-ish area and roll back to 1815. So the 2015 will be a monologue performed by Shelley called Coming Out. And then it will be a poem written by Erin, but performed by our lovely Miss Amanda. Go ahead and come on up. And then the last one, I asked Natasha if she'll explain a little bit more in depth about why she did a photo shoot with hands. Yeah, and if there's time after, hopefully we can talk about how we threaded each other's work into each other. So, fabulous. Oh, thank you so much. So we're going to first start off with 2015, coming out by Shelley Heron.
Mom? Dad? There's something I need to tell you. Something that I want to tell you. I'm gay. No. You guys didn't do anything wrong, Dad. I'm not gay because we played baseball in the backyard. Mom, I am not gay because you let me paint my room blue, or because you taught me how to change the oil in my car, or because I preferred to be outside in my tree house rather than inside with my Barbie dream house. None of that stuff matters. Has nothing to do with it. Clearly, because the girl that I love, the girl who loves me, she loves pink. She loves to do her hair, her makeup. She is the girliest girl that I know. And she's gay. So, none of that matters. Yeah, okay, I know what your religion teaches about it. I know how you feel. Because I thought that too. I believed that too. And I hated myself for it. And I prayed to God that He would fix me or He would cure me. You know what I realized after all that praying? I'm not sick. I'm not broken. I'm just me. I like the color blue, and I love baseball. And I like girls. But that doesn't change who I am. That doesn't change the fact that I'm still your daughter, the fact that I'm still your little girl. Right?
Smooth as bone. The dish sinks into the depths. I wrench it back and clean the dry scraps from each crevice the way each day scrubs my dried person from this bone-white shell. It scrapes flesh and ambition to the side, rinsing blood and ideas into an endless river that falls down life's gaping mouth. This porcelain skeleton once held me up to stand strong, yet now it stands as a banner, a pure testament to a life of wings that have not flown. Every part of me was not right. I stuck out from my edges, a bush with too many roses to give. They cut me back, stripped the leaves from my branches, the skin from my fingers. One too many days of catch with my father, one too many seconds watching the girl dance in the yard next door. This pale bone has broken. This porcelain has cracked. This rose sits in an empty vase, wilting, a frozen trophy on his mantle. Yet he has not cut me. The shears, sharpened by society's gaze, rest not in his hands, but in life's. The rose grows not to please the gardener, but to live.
Right, so like Jocelyn said, I'll just talk a little bit about the 1815. I just worked with hands, and mostly by the idea that each of the gender roles had their own place in the home and how to work. So, yeah, so you have a little limited time left, but that's pretty much basically.
Great. It's just so great because what you just saw just barely is just like a little glimpse of the ways we have interpreted how gender roles were viewed in 1819 and 2015. Again, it's one interpretation. It's not everything, and it's definitely not nothing because it was really super great. I just want to end the presentation before we open up for questions of how much I love the theme of the conference, express, or everybody's voice needs to be heard. Along those lines, I think that's wonderful. That's so important. It is so crucial, especially in a collaborative project, to have everybody's voice heard, respected, incorporated, and to never ever have somebody feel like they were not ever of value. That's probably the key thing to know and take away from a collaborative work when you are in a leadership role, or when you're with your family, when you're a student. Wherever you are always collaborating. It's the big collaborative effort of life. It takes a community to raise a child. So just remember that when you do a collaborative work, hear everyone's voices, because they are important too.
Yeah, we're going to open up for questions. So we're going to open up for questions. We're going to have about 5-6 minutes, and you can ask some questions.
Yeah, direct to anybody here. This is Amanda, who was a dancer, Erin, Natasha, Shelley, and even our friend Adam was a dancer as well. He popped in at the last one. Are there any questions? Yes?
Yeah, when you talk about time constraints, can you be specific, like how long was it and how long would you have liked it to be?
Perfect. Ugh, tough question. The second one's a tough one. So we started, it was about this time when Erin and I first started talking about, oh, writing is like dance and dance is like writing, and that's when it started bubbling. Then the actual process began after the semester up until August. We had the summer. We had about 3.5 months. I mean, it's not, that's a good amount of time, especially, I mean, I wasn't over-scheduled with the work, or I did take some classes over the summer. So I spent the majority of my summer focusing on this project, working with it. I was thinking about it constantly. So I had about 3 months. It was doable. We pulled it off. Erin and I were talking just barely before we started, like, wow, we really did this. Like, we did this. Yes, we did, and we did it. I think we did it very well. How long or how much? I would say, it'd be nice to have around 6 months. But it's hard to get like 6 months of like commitment, you know what I mean? Especially when I couldn't pay them. This is just out of pure passion. They love what they do and they wanted to be involved. So the nuts and bolts get tricky with time because time equals money, right? So finding the time, the dancers or the participants who were willing to donate their time, that was tricky. But this summer we were able to just push it in. We were able to squeeze. Any other questions? Yes?
How do you guys find the ideas to start the project?
You just gotta talk. Oh man, that's what I learned most. So you just talk. The big idea about the Round Robin project came when Erin and I, we were traveling back from a conference, and we were just talking like, oh, and something sparked like, man, you talk about, you guys have, that's right, the English language has vocabulary. Well, in dance, we talk about vocabulary as movement vocabulary. It's different, but the same. And so we just started talking, and that sparked different ideas. But the topic to decide that, like the center of our little Round Robin project, they came over to my apartment, and I had a few ideas already, like, well, I'm kind of interested in this, like maybe water preservation, or we want to do like a social issue, we wanted to say something or bring awareness to something in the community. So we talked about that. We talked about the gender roles. What else we talked about? I don't remember, but something stuck with generals. We were like, this is interesting. The way we're viewing men and women is different, and we wanted to say something about that. So just talking, bouncing ideas, especially when you get passion, if you let people talk about their passion, you'll find a connection for sure. Yeah.
Something I just want to bring up that Jocelyn and I would always talk about, and what we, like, our inspiration moment for like this idea of collaboration is this talk about this idea of like socially constructing knowledge, and I think that's why conversation is so important, because this is the idea that if you take two separate parts of knowledge and you start to put them in interaction with each other, you're going to get a new knowledge that neither side of that would have ever reached on its own. And so that's also why I agree, like conversing about it is so important from different perspectives, just because you will then build off of each other, and it's something that would never have existed with just one of those parts of it.
Yeah. And a great image we would talk about too is connecting the dots. You know, you draw the little connect the dots and all of a sudden, oh, there's a picture. Like with my ideas and my experience, I come and I put a few dots here that I know. And then Shelly comes in, she puts a few dots she knows. And then so the more people you start talking about, the more ideas or dots are on the paper, then you can make all these different connections and you get a really great picture by the end, just by simply talking and letting people have that voice. Other questions? Yeah.
What's next? Like,
Ooh, what's next? Oh man, applications for that festival is open. I'm debating head over the summer. Oh, I want to do it again. I would love to do this again. I'd love to pick a different social issue, or maybe it's not a social issue. Maybe it's something about UVU. I don't know. To pick another subject and work with it. So maybe this summer we could do something again. I have to coordinate with them about that. Their schedule. But I know for me personally, I'm looking to apply for that too. I'm looking to apply for grad schools this next coming fall. And I want to work more with collaboration. I found this is my passion. Like, wow, I learned so much about this that I want to continue. And I want to become a professor of dance and like really help the students work with theater or digital media or creative writing, and just help them express themselves in a multifaceted way. Because I think the thing I love most about a collaborative work is that you can reach an audience with so many different levels. There was a comment of a lady who came and watched our show. She said, basically to the fact like, wow, I was touched by the voice, or like by the vocal performance. I was touched by the music. I was touched by all these different things that combine. So let's say, for instance, you're not super motivated by movement, by dance. It doesn't really ring. But the poems did. So maybe that individual walked away from our performance because they were touched by the poems only. But it's giving the opportunity to like have all those different layers there, so people can either be touched on all the levels, or maybe just the top few, whatever. So everybody walks away with learning something new. That's what I love about it. So that's what's next. Last question. Yeah.
It's actually a question for more Aaron. How long did it, like, what inspired you to write this poem that you wrote?
Oh, so the one that I performed?
Yeah.
So it was actually Shelley's monologue of coming out is where I took inspiration for this one. So it was something I never thought of, obviously, like that viewpoint of coming maybe from a perspective of a woman and in that time period. And so, I just took a couple weeks of thinking about it, of like what that monologue was representing, what the characterization was, what was deeper in there maybe that wasn't being said, and then trying to kind of, so my basic inspiration for the poem was taking that character and imagining maybe what her life would have been like had she been born and living in 1915 rather than 2015, and maybe seeing how that would have played out in taking like that same character.
And it's nice if there, last little tidbit of suggestion, if you ever were to do a collaborative work similar to this, because, would it be to set boundaries? Now, you listen to boundaries and you hear, oh my gosh, but I'm so restricted. No, actually, it's like a kite. Like if you just let the kite fly, it's never going to fly high on its own. So if you give it that certain boundary, that little string, like how we set 18, 19, and 2015, it helped us focus in. It may have been tricky because we had to research a little bit more, but because we focused it in, we held that boundary together, all these different things happen. And exactly like the activity we did at the beginning, I gave you a boundary, I gave you a shape. You must draw a shape. And you did it. But everybody did it in so many different ways. So if you just say anything goes, nothing's gonna go, you know? But if you put just enough boundary to let the creativity come, you're set. Great. You guys, thanks for coming. Appreciate it.